It's time for another blistering report from the front lines of the cultural war for a constitutional America. And now, here's your host, Charles Benninghoff.
Hello, this is Charles Benninghoff. The background image today is a river patrol boat, or a PBR. You may remember seeing this boat in the movie Apocalypse Now. You know that old movie with Charlie Sheen going up that river? That poor guy getting shivved with a long spear? Crazy movie. The boat's not movie stuff though. These boats were real. They were deadly. And they were effective in their means of controlling the flow of traffic on Vietnam's rivers and coastal areas. I don't know. I served in River Patrol Section 543 in Operation Game Warden. And I served during the years 67 and 68. And for a time, I was a crew member and then a captain of one of these PBRs. Very, very exciting duty it was. I learned my respect for the American flag before that. But my experience in Vietnam pushed it into my inner mind and my soul. And now to see these punks hired by George Soros and others burning our flag and trampling on it on the sidewalks is designed solely to stir the passion of fire and retort. And I'm talking to you now in a very serious matter. In fact, you know, Donald Trump stirred up a firestorm on Twitter once by just suggesting that flag burning should carry a criminal penalty. Well, he was right. It should. Mr. Trump also proved that patriotism still beats in the hearts of American men and women, and that the globalists have not yet been able to stamp out the fires of liberty yet. And when I say globalists, you know, that's just another word for communist. The people who are pushing this globalism are nothing but communists. There's not a bit of difference between the communists from the 40s and 50s and the globalists today. They all want to see a worldwide government. They want to see everybody's freedoms subjected to whatever they think is politically correct. I don't care what these yokels tell you. They're all of the same ilk. And you know, we have to continue fighting them. And the day that we stop fighting them, we're going to lose all our liberties. Well, let's go back to Donald Trump. Let me read the tweet that President-elect Trump sent out last week, and I quote, "Nobody should be allowed to burn the American flag. If they do, there must be consequences, perhaps loss of citizenship or a year in jail." This caused the mainstream media and Clinton-supporting snowflakes across the country to run their fainting couches like a bunch of Victorian sissy-boys. You remember old Schwarzenegger calling anybody who complained about him a sissy boy? Well, these mainstream media and Clinton-supporting snowflakes indeed are sissy boys. And then the usual assortment of mentally deranged agitators, what'd they do? They ran out in the street and started burning American flags. I believe for many years that flag burning should be a crime, and in fact have preached for that many times. Also, at one time, I had a group going called Save Our Flag, and that was a very important operation, and it gained some 50,000 followers on Facebook before I was forced by my other duties, for example, making these daily videos, to put my emphasis here, and that sorrowfully fell by the wayside. But nevertheless, the intent is still strong. Flag desecration used to be illegal in every state in America back in 1932. It was only during the social revolution of the 1960s that a tiny fringe of communist agitators decided to try to undermine our patriotism by challenging flag desecration laws. And those agitators were led by communists and communist sympathizers like Jane Fonda. You know, and those people from Hollywood, they're still stuck around and they're still trying to destroy our country. As a result of their agitation, some states began to scale back their flag desecration laws in the 70s, which ultimately led to the idiotic Supreme Court decision in 1989, which declared that flag burning was a protected speech. Well, I'm calling on Congress to reintroduce and pass the Flag Protection Act of 2005, which is a patriotic anti-flag burning bill written by two former senators. Wait till you get this. The first one was Republican Bob Bennett from Utah. Now, who do you think was the second senator to write this bill back in 2005? I'll give you a hint. It was a Democrat senator. I'll give you another hint. The senator came from New York. I'll give you a third hint. The senator was a female. Let's see, who could that be? Oh, right. Senator Hillary Clinton from New York was the co-author on that bill. Man, has she come full swing back to her communist roots, where she wants to dream about the United States with no borders and the United States taxpayers supporting every freeloader around the world. Well, the bill is written already, and when it was voted on in the Senate in 2005, it failed by only one vote. I think we can bolster enough support to pass the Flag Protection Act this time around, and especially because Donald Trump is supporting it. As well, flag burning is deeply offensive to me, personally, as a Vietnam combat veteran. Most veterans, in fact, are deeply offended and insulted by this, which is the intent of flag burners in the first place. They want to insult us and incite us to riot. The family members of veterans and a majority of every American hate flag burning. Torching an American flag is such a fringe idea that it barely even registers as a Google search term on the internet. The Flag Protection Act, as it was written in 2005, specifically addresses the fact that flag burning is an act of terrorism aimed at inciting immediate violence. By the way, there's a copy of the Flag Protection Act linked on our action page today, so you can read it. You just got to follow the instructions of Bob Mallory at the end of this video. Well, the Supreme Court ruled back in 1989 in the case of Texas versus Johnson that flag burning is protected free speech. Huh, really? So what? We're supposed to have checks and balances in this country, and the Supreme Court doesn't get the final say on issues. Historically, whenever the court makes a dumb decision like this one, Congress would simply tweak the law and send it back. It's really a very recent idea in America that Supreme Court decisions get the final say. And that's not a very good way to run a government. 7 guys or 9 guys making up a Supreme Court, and then all of a sudden they come up with a rule that can't be overturned. The rule is based upon their political ideology, and we can't overturn it? Baloney, we can't overturn it. And that's the history of the United States. We need to overturn this Supreme Court decision. Prior to George W. Bush's term in office, Congress used to check the Supreme Court all the time by rewriting legislation. This happened on a monthly basis a couple of years when Ronald Reagan was in office, as Congress and the Supreme Court simply played legal ping pong. But you know what? The Congress has the ultimate authority on these issues, not the Supreme Court. That's what we're asking Congress to do here. Pass the Flag Protection Act. This act does 3 things. First, it prohibits flag burning with the intent to breach the peace or incite immediate violence. It prohibits flag burning with the intent to threaten or intimidate any group, such as veterans or Christians, which the flag burners can't seem to stop themselves from doing every time they manage to make the news. And third, it prohibits stealing a United States government flag or an individual's flag on U.S. lands for the purposes of destroying it. This bill carries a $10,000 fine up to a $100,000 fine and a year in jail, just as Donald Trump helpfully suggested on Twitter. So let's get to work, America. Start pressuring Congress to pass the Flag Protection Act so we can stop the flag burners from breaching the peace and inciting violence. And you know, what's happening now is radically different from 2005. It's radically different from the Texas case. Now we have paid agitators by guys like Soros and other anti-American characters. These people go out and hire insane people. In fact, Hillary Clinton herself, in her campaign, signed up mentally ill people off the street to attack Trump supporters and burn flags and trample on them on the ground. This is unprecedented. This is novel. This is new. This is designed solely to create agony in the hearts of veterans and patriots. It is indeed patriotic terrorism, and it has to be stopped. It's not the simple Vietnam War era of burning a flag and saying kumbaya. This is really intended to insult and to degrade our citizens, and especially our veterans and our patriots. So, go to our action page today and make your demands known. Bob Mallory has the instructions on the next screen explaining how to get to our action page, so stay tuned. This is Charles Benninghoff, a proud American patriot, combat veteran, and I'm wishing you freedom, fulfillment, and God's many, many blessings. And by the way, I hope you love my sister's hat. She gave it to me for my birthday. U.S. Navy all the way. God bless America.
Tell Congress to support and pass the bipartisan Flag Protection Act immediately. If you're on our action page on our website, use the form next to the video screen to select a program. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, click the icon appearing now to find a link to our action page, or check in the video's description to find the link. Speak out today.